Did you have some trepidation before you met him then?
I had trepidation about getting too close to him and ending up discussing politics.
Right.
And I was afraid I'd get to like him, and that would be a problem.
When most people think about Ricky Nelson, they see a young heartthrob with a beautiful voice and bright smile on their TV screens. But Angie Dickinson got to see a completely different side of him that very few people ever witnessed. Many years after they worked together on the movie Rio Bravo, Angie is finally talking about what Ricky was really like when the cameras weren't rolling. Behind his famous image as a polished teen star was someone who was surprisingly gentle, caring, and thoughtful. He could make everyone feel better with just a simple song or a quiet, kind gesture. What Angie saw during their time together left a deep impression on her long Hollywood career. It was a special connection that stayed with her for decades. Let's discover this story that hasn't been told very often. In 1958, at the old Tucson Studios in Arizona, Angie Dickinson and Ricky Nelson met for the first time while making Rio Bravo. The movie set was buzzing with excitement as director Howard Hawks brought together an amazing team. John Wayne and Dean Martin were the big stars, while Angie and Ricky were the newer faces ready to make their mark. Angie played a character named Feathers, a smart and tough woman with a good sense of humor. Ricky played Colorado Ryan, a role that was very different from the sweet boy next-door character people knew him for on television. Even before they started filming, everyone on the crew could feel that these actors worked well together. There was a natural friendship forming that was built on respect and genuine curiosity about each other. As they began shooting scenes, this good feeling grew into something really special and natural. Angie approached her role with confidence and subtle humor, listening carefully to Hawks' guidance, as she learned to make every shot feel real and honest. Ricky brought a lightness to the film that was equally compelling. Whether he was saying his scripted lines or playing his guitar during breaks, he had a warmth that balanced out the more serious and tense parts of the movie. That gentle energy spread to the entire crew as well. Despite already being incredibly famous as a teen idol, Ricky was never stuck up or demanding. Angie remembered that between takes, he would often start singing or share a quiet smile that helped everyone relax during the long shooting days. Even John Wayne, who was known for his tough work habits, enjoyed Ricky's playful interruptions. He would patiently wait while they worked on their performances, and a real respect developed among all of them. Years later, Angie would talk about how that summer on the Rio Bravo set was a life-changing experience for her. The relaxed pace that Hawks encouraged, combined with the laughter that came from Ricky's spontaneous moments, made it possible for her to improve her acting. The friendly cooperation of the entire crew was quiet but powerful. Angie looks back on these influences as being crucial to the long-lasting success of the film. What had started as a regular movie job turned into a creative journey that helped her understand how important genuine relationships can make every part of filmmaking better. Beyond just the acting performances, Angie remembered all the small daily routines that became part of their rhythm. There was the early morning coffee, a quiet corner where they would practice their lines together, and the playful teasing while waiting for the crew to set up the next shot. These little spontaneous moments created a comfortable environment where even the most difficult days felt a bit easier to handle. Angie emphasized that this spirit of togetherness touched her deeply, teaching her that making movies didn't have to feel like just work, but could be a chance to spend time with friends who genuinely cared about each other. When Angie first met Ricky Nelson on the Rio Bravo set, his gentle and humble personality stood out right away. Ricky had already become famous all across America as a singer and TV star, but there was none of the vanity or showing off that you might expect from someone so young and successful. Instead, Angie was struck by how open and friendly he was. Despite his fame, he didn't act distant or superior like many young celebrities did. That humility and real interest in doing good work made an immediate impression on Angie as they began working on their scenes together. Ricky's quiet presence was a nice contrast to the bigger personalities of his co-stars. John Wayne could take control of any room just by walking in, and Howard Hawks was known for carefully controlling every aspect of making the movie. Ricky, on the other hand, often kept to himself, sitting off to the side and strumming his guitar or humming a melody between takes. His relaxed attitude helped set a comfortable tone, making the set feel less like a strict hierarchy and more like a creative family working together toward the same goal. As filming continued, Angie came to really admire Ricky's commitment to the work. Even though he was only 18 years old and mostly known for his music, Ricky showed a level of focus that earned him respect from everyone. Angie noticed that he never relied on his star status to get by and was eager to learn from every bit of advice that Hawks and the veteran actors gave him. She often talked about his sincerity, saying that Ricky cared more about getting his part right than about protecting his image or looking good. Years later in interviews, Angie would say that Ricky influenced her early career in important ways. The gracious approach he took toward everyone, from the other actors to the crew members, forever changed her understanding of what it means to be proficient. Now, for Angie, Ricky's charm wasn't just surface charm. It came from a grounded spirit and gentle soul that was just as real off-screen as it was on camera, and that authenticity stayed with her throughout her entire life. Beyond his natural ability to get along with the cast, Angie also remembered Ricky's quiet efforts to learn during their downtime. When much of the crew would be taking a break, Ricky could be found studying the moves of the stunt team, talking with the camera operators, or asking questions about how the lighting was set up. It amazed Angie that instead of keeping his distance, he was curious about every aspect of making movies. This interest in improving himself, especially coming from someone who was already so famous, impressed Angie and showed her that Ricky wasn't just passing through. His heart was really into mastering the whole craft of filmmaking. Angie and Ricky's partnership on Rio Bravo quickly moved past polite introductions into genuine creative teamwork. Even early in the filming process, Angie saw that Ricky wasn't content to simply repeat his lines exactly as they were written. He was collaborative and eager to explore small details that would make their characters feel real and believable. That spirit of working together set them apart in a cast filled with Hollywood legends and created an easy rhythm between them that gave their scenes a natural spark. The strength of their partnership became most obvious as they shared more screen time together. Hawks created an environment that encouraged actors to listen closely to each other, and Ricky rose to meet that challenge beautifully. Between takes, he and Angie would talk through their scenes, share thoughts about their characters, and offer each other small suggestions for improvement. Ricky's openness to feedback and Angie's encouragement created a quiet trust that played wonder. Fully into their on-screen relationship, what Angie admired most was Ricky's ability to balance his light-hearted nature with true commitment to the work. Even though he was new to feature films, he treated every scene with serious care and attention. He never relied on his celebrity status to carry him through difficult moments and would take Hawks' direction or do whatever was necessary for the good of the movie. The resulting mix of infectious enthusiasm and serious respect for the craft made him invaluable to Angie in helping her navigate their scenes together. Years afterward, Angie would say the collaboration was one of the most seamless of her entire career. It was Ricky's gift to put people at ease without ever losing the concentration necessary to do good work, and that created a special bond with very pleasant memories for Angie of working with him. Even after several decades, she held on to images of his easy smile and quiet determination, reminders that on-screen magic often comes from respect, shared effort, and being willing to really listen to each other. Although most people expected Ricky Nelson to simply follow the script on Rio Bravo, he continually caught everyone off guard with small, inspired choices that made his character feel more genuine and alive. Angie often recalled that Ricky would add a glance or subtle smile into a scene where none was called for, capturing something real and unrehearsed. These tiny, instinctive additions gave his performance a warm authenticity that set him apart from the typical teen idol role he might have played in a lesser film. One of the most memorable surprises was Ricky's participation in the famous musical scene with Dean Martin and Walter Brennan. Hawks invited them to play a song called My Rifle, My Pony, and Me as a brief break from the story's tension, and Ricky took to it naturally. Angie remembered that although he usually kept to himself, and the cameras weren't rolling, as soon as he picked up the guitar and joined the song, he fit right in, as though they had been singing together for years. That quiet confidence was a joy to watch and to work alongside. Off-screen, Ricky's surprises often came in the form of quiet humor. Angie noted that he had an intuitive sense of timing, choosing the perfect moment to lighten the mood. He would make dry jokes that would have the crew laughing, Or he would hum to himself in a corner while waiting for the next scene. He had a unique way of keeping everyone around him at ease and comfortable. Even Howard Hawks, who had built his reputation on being tough and direct on movie sets, came to recognize that Ricky could read the room and provide a smile whenever it was most needed. These surprises were something Angie loved to talk about in later years. They showed Ricky's deeper qualities of being sensitive, graceful, and creative, without putting any strain on the appealing image created by his famous voice and good looks. These small but thoughtful contributions to the film showed most clearly that Ricky was far more than just a pretty face with a famous voice attached to it. From the very beginning of production, Ricky Nelson made a quiet but lasting impression on the Rio Bravo crew. Angie often shared that Ricky didn't hide away in his trailer between takes like some stars might. Instead, he walked around the set, chatting easily with anyone and everyone. Despite his huge popularity as a teenage singer and television star, he was remarkably approachable. He was a young performer who treated everyone with the same courtesy, no matter what their job was on the set. That generosity created an atmosphere of friendship and teamwork that lasted throughout the entire shoot. Angie noted that Ricky had a special ability for lifting everyone's spirits when the long hours started to wear people down. On particularly hard days, he might pick up his guitar and hum a few songs, or make a light joke that cut through the tension without interrupting anyone's focus on their work. It was a subtle skill, but one that really mattered in keeping morale high and energy steady throughout the production. Even Howard Hawks, a famously practical director, appreciated this side of Ricky's personality. Although Hawks rarely allowed distractions during filming, he welcomed Ricky's good-natured breaks as part of what kept the set productive and collaborative. Angie remembered watching Ricky check in on everyone, from the equipment handlers to the stand-in actors, going out of his way to make sure they felt seen and valued as part of the team. That natural humility and quiet warmth encouraged people to do their best work. Long after the production was finished, Angie would talk about how surprised she was to be influenced by Ricky on the set. It was one of the nicest surprises of her career. While he was definitely one of the biggest stars on the set, Ricky never acted like one, and this served as a great reminder for Angie of what it truly means to be a leader. When Angie looks back on working with Ricky Nelson, one of the first qualities she mentions is his unique balance of focus and fun. Even as a teenage sensation with millions of fans, Ricky took his work seriously on the Rio Bravo set. Angie recalled that he was always on time, polite to everyone, and quick to understand Howard Hawks' directions. Despite his youth and fame, Ricky carried himself like an experienced actor who respected the discipline required for good filmmaking. That serious attitude toward his craft never felt stiff or rigid. Angie noted that Ricky naturally balanced the work with light, easy humor that brightened the atmosphere around him. While waiting for cameras to be reset or the lighting crew to finish their work, he might pick up his guitar and play a familiar melody or quietly make a joke that would make everyone smile. Those moments weren't distractions from the work. Instead, they created a rhythm on the set that allowed tension to ease while keeping everyone engaged and focused on the day's goals. Angie especially valued the way Ricky's light touch complemented her own commitment to their scenes together. Whether they were working on romantic banter or more serious exchanges, Ricky always showed up prepared and ready to respond to whatever energy she brought to the scene. His relaxed humor kept their relationship easy and natural, allowing them to explore the dynamics of their characters without forcing anything. Beyond what the cameras captured in Rio Bravo, Angie and Ricky developed a friendship that was quiet, genuine, and meaningful. Angie recalled that despite his fame as a teenage heartthrob, Ricky was approachable and kind, treating everyone on the set, including her, as an equal. Between camera setups and costume changes, they often found moments to talk, sharing stories about their very different paths into show business and encouraging each other through the long hours of filming. That friendship was especially comforting for Angie, who was still finding her place among Hollywood giants like John Wayne and Dean Martin. Ricky was also navigating new territory, making the jump from television and music into feature films. That mutual sense of being new to this world created a bond built on support and an easy understanding of each other's nerves and uncertainties. Angie spoke warmly of how Ricky never failed to check in with her and always greeted her with a genuine smile or small joke to brighten her day. As their friendship deepened during filming, they became each other's support system on the set. They were people they could turn to for a quick boost of confidence or an honest conversation away from the spotlight and pressure. For Angie, the legacy of Rio Bravo is forever connected to the early relationships she formed on that set. Even decades after the film's release, she continues to speak of those days with deep affection. When appearing at classic film festivals and in interviews with entertainment magazines, she often says that making Rio Bravo was one of the most significant experiences of her career. This wasn't just because of the movie's success, but because of the people who shaped her during that important time in her life. In her reflections, Angie celebrates Ricky Nelson as one of those key figures who made a lasting impact. While most people remember him as a teenage icon, Angie speaks of him as a warm-hearted collaborator who exceeded every expectation anyone might have had. Even at just 18 years old, Ricky was driven by a sincere commitment to his craft and an authentic kindness that put everyone around him at ease. Angie noted that she witnessed that integrity every single day on the set, and it changed the way she thought about what it means to be an actor forever. When most people thought of Ricky Nelson in the late 1950s, they thought of a chart-topping singer or a television star on the adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. But Angie witnessed a very different side of him on the set of Rio Bravo. Rather than relying on his fame or trying to cultivate a flashy image, Ricky showed up as an eager student of filmmaking. He was respectful toward the actors and crew members who had been making movies long before. Ricky ever set foot on a movie set? That attitude took Angie by surprise, especially given how young Ricky was and how celebrated he was outside the film world. She watched him listen carefully to Howard Hawks' instructions, adjust his performance take after take, and collaborate thoughtfully with everyone around him. It became clear to her that Ricky wasn't there simply to trade on his popularity. He was genuinely invested in becoming a better actor, focused on authenticity and attention to detail. More than that, Ricky had a quiet sensitivity that wasn't part of his public image. Angie spoke warmly of his gentle humor, his intuitive sense of timing both on camera and off, and his natural ability to make everyone around him feel comfortable and valued. To Angie, this revealed an artist much deeper than the light-hearted personality presented in the fan magazines. Here was someone who truly cared about his art and about the people he shared it with. In recent interviews, Angie has opened up about Ricky Nelson in a more personal way than ever before, sharing thoughts that go beyond the usual Hollywood stories. She's always acknowledged Ricky's talent and easygoing nature, but only in her later years has she spoken so candidly about the lasting impression he left on her as a person. It's not something she felt the need to highlight before, but time has deepened her appreciation of who he really was beneath the fame. One particular insight Angie decided to share is Ricky's quiet sense of humility, which struck her as rare even back then. Despite his teen idol status, he never projected ego or self-importance, approaching every day on the set with a gentle curiosity about the work and the people around him. Angie recalled that this attitude fostered an unexpected sense of friendship between them, one built on mutual respect rather than the usual star-power dynamics that could so easily have created distance. Over 60 years later, Angie states that Ricky's legacy is bigger and richer than most people would know. Ricky Nelson wasn't just a teen idol. He was a kind and gentle soul, thoughtful and collaborative, who left an unforgettable mark on Rio Bravo and on everyone fortunate enough to work with him. For Angie, Ricky's real legacy is defined by the respect, talent, and quiet humanity he brought to every scene and every relationship. That, she emphasizes, is what is truly worth remembering about this remarkable young man who touched so many lives during his brief time in Hollywood.